Hello. My article looked at the effects of interactive book reading on phonemic awareness. There were 34 kindergartners in this quantitative study. 17 were in the treatment group, and 17 were also in the control group. These students were randomly chosen by the teacher. And I found it interesting to have a treatment group and a control group since we discussed that this is unethical. But I see it in research all the time, so I'm very confused by this. It was also interesting to know the researcher was the instructor for the treatment group. So how do we know that the researcher wasn't biased or the results weren't skewed in favor of the treatment group? In my opinion, to avoid this, there should have been a separate experimenter. So the interactive book reading procedure was used for the treatment group, and the control group used the traditional book reading procedure. During the interactive book reading, the students and the researchers interacted with the text by asking and answering open-ended questions about what they read. Prior to reading the story, the researcher chose words that were used to teach target words and sounds. 24 books were chosen for the study, and I'm assuming the books were chosen by the researcher, but it's not stated in the article. When I read this, I wondered if the books were diverse. That's not mentioned in the article either. The control group did not receive an intervention at all. Their stories were just read to them without interaction from the reader. So after 8 weeks, both groups were given the Phonemic Awareness scale as the post-test. The researcher also used the Mann-Whitney test to determine if there was a significant difference between the tests. I wasn't aware of the Mann-Whitney at the time, so I Googled it. And it basically tests the equality of means in 2 independent samples. The researcher found that interactive book reading is effective in increasing phonemic awareness skills. The pretest scores between the 2 groups were similar, but the treatment group showed significant gains in the post-test. The results showed the treatment group's mean rank was 25 and the control group was 10. The sum ranks for the experimental group was 425 and the control group was 170. There were other studies mentioned in the article that related to interactive book reading, and they also yielded positive phonemic awareness results for their treatment group. The research conducted by Justice, Candaveric, Bowles, and Grimm 2005 stood out because their study included parents reading to their children. However, Tepidus 2015 conducted a study where preschool teachers read books to their students with little interaction with the text, and their students' phonemic awareness skills were lacking when they entered kindergarten. In closing, this article demonstrated that book reading can be done by a teacher or a parent. It is more effective in increasing phonemic awareness skills than traditional reading. When I read this, I also thought about a few years ago, I was taught by an instructor just to read to students. I was told not to interrupt the story with questions because this may decrease the students' comprehension. Thankfully, I never followed that advice. It just seemed more natural to me to ask questions as I read. My purpose was to increase comprehension, though, not phonemic awareness skills. So the next time I read aloud to kindergartners or first graders, I will focus on phonemic awareness as well as comprehension. If anyone is interested in interactive book reading on phonemic awareness skills, the researcher suggested using a mixed methods approach. As mentioned before, this was just a quantitative approach, but I think with having the mixed methods, you will be able to actually interview students and include observations where you can actually sit and listen to how or what they say when the interaction is taking place. So thank you so much for listening to my video, and I will see you on the next one.